My name is Amanda Clark. I am 34 years old, and for over a decade, I was nothing more than my family's personal ATM. I was born the middle child, right between my older sister Jessica and my younger brother Caleb. From the outside, the Clark family looked like a picture of suburban stability: 2 parents, 3 children, a tidy house in Eugene, Oregon. But behind that front door, things looked very different. Jessica was the golden girl. With her blonde curls and pageant smile, she was the star of every school play, the homecoming queen, the girl who always got a standing ovation at the dinner table for simply showing up. Caleb, the youngest, was the baby boy, sensitive, charming, a little wild. He got into trouble, often suspended in middle school, failed multiple college classes, but no matter what, my parents, David and Lorraine, would rush in to defend him. He just needs time to figure things out, they'd say. And then there was me. Amanda. I was the quiet one, the dependable one, the one who made straight A's, who packed her own lunches, who tutored other kids after school and never once missed a curfew. But in my family, competence wasn't rewarded. It was expected. When I got into college with a partial scholarship, I also picked up 2 part-time jobs to cover what was left. Jessica had her entire tuition paid at a private school, despite barely keeping her GPA above a C. My parents didn't show up to my graduation because Caleb had an emergency moving into a new apartment. I started working at a small financial firm straight out of college, 60-hour weeks, eating takeout at my desk, building my client base from nothing. 5 years later, I opened my own practice in downtown Portland, specializing in investments for the tech sector. That's when the calls started coming in. My mom's voice on the other end of the line, always so gentle and urgent. Amanda, your father and I are struggling with the mortgage this month. Could you help us just for now? It always started with just this once. At first, I told myself it was normal. After all, I was making more money than anyone else in the family. I wanted to help. What was a mortgage payment here, a little support there? But it never stopped. 1 month turned into 3. 3 turned into a year. I wasn't just helping anymore, I was fully covering my parents' mortgage. They never offered to pay me back. It simply became a silent expectation, like brushing your teeth or checking the mail. Then came Caleb. His first business idea was a food truck that he ran for 6 weeks before deciding he didn't like waking up early. I covered the startup costs. Then there was the fitness app. It never made it past the mock-up phase, but I paid the freelance developer's invoice. His third venture was a coffee shop. He decorated it with vintage couches and exposed brick. After 2 months, he got bored and left town for a break. I had co-signed the lease. Jessica wasn't much better. When she got engaged, I was asked no, expected to cover the entire bachelorette trip to Las Vegas for her and 7 of her friends. Flights, hotel, dinner reservations, VIP club access. When I gently brought up my budget, my mother pulled me aside and whispered, "Your sister only gets married once. Don't ruin it for her, just because you're being selfish with your money." It was always like that. I wasn't invited to Thanksgiving dinners or family ski trips. They assumed I was too busy or uninterested. I only found out about their Aspen vacation when Jessica posted pictures on Facebook, my entire family smiling on a mountaintop, all in matching jackets. 3 weeks later, Caleb called in tears. His car was about to be repossessed. I paid the $12,000 loan to keep it from happening. By the time my parents' 40th anniversary rolled around, I should have known better. But when my mom called sounding warm, almost excited, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: hope. "Amanda, your father and I are thinking of something special," she said. "A big dinner at Bashan Room. You know, that rooftop place in Portland with the view. It's our 40th, after all." I looked it up. Private dining started at $18,000. "We'd love for you to help with the deposit," she added, her tone slipping into the familiar blend of expectation and guilt. I hesitated. It was a large sum even for me, but I said yes, not because I wanted to fund it, but because deep down I wanted to belong. "We'll send you the details later," she said. But the details never came. Whenever I asked about the guest list or plans, I got the same response: "Don't worry about it, Amanda. Just focus on work. We know how busy you are." 2 weeks before the event, I called Jessica to ask what I should wear. She sounded surprised. "You're coming?" "Of course I'm coming. I paid the deposit." There was a pause, right? "Well, it's formal, black tie." She changed the subject immediately after. I spent the next few days finding the perfect outfit. A black Valentino gown that fit me like a second skin, classic, understated, elegant. I had my hair and makeup done professionally. Chestnut waves, soft eyeliner, a pair of diamond studs, and the sapphire pendant my grandmother left me before she passed. The only person in my family who ever made me feel truly seen. As a final touch, I picked up a pair of Filippi watches from my parents' limited edition, wrapped in silver paper with a navy blue bow. My father had admired the brand for years, but always said it was too much. The gift cost $5,000. April 22nd arrived with rare sunshine in Portland. I valeted my car at Bastion Room and stepped into the marble lobby with butterflies in my stomach. Maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. I told the hostess I was here for the Clark anniversary celebration. She smiled, scanned the tablet in front of her, and then frowned. "Your name, please?" "Amanda Clark. David and Lorraine's daughter." She looked again, her brow furrowed. "I'm sorry, I don't see your name on the guest list." "There must be a mistake. I'm their daughter. I paid the deposit for this event." She gave me an apologetic look and said she would get the event coordinator. While I waited, I caught glimpses of the party inside: white roses, soft lighting, champagne flutes clinking, my uncle laughing, my cousin Rebecca taking photos next to a massive cake. I spotted Jessica, flawless in silver, whispering to someone at the bar. Caleb arrived moments later with his newest girlfriend, who looked around with wide eyes. He saw me. His face changed. He looked embarrassed. The event coordinator came out moments later, a tall woman in a navy suit with a clipboard in hand. "This Clark," she said, "we do have a record of your payment, but the final guest list was approved by your parents, and you're not on it." I stared at her. "May I speak with them?" She nodded and disappeared behind the door. I stood there in silence, the box in my hands growing heavier with every passing second. I watched people arrive, smile, sip wine, enter a room I had paid for, where I wasn't welcome. 10 minutes passed. Then the doors opened. My mother appeared first. She looked radiant in silver, hair curled, diamond earrings glinting. My father followed close behind, tuxedo pressed, champagne in hand. "Amanda," my mother said quietly, "what are you doing here?" "What do you mean?" I asked. "It's your anniversary. I paid for this." "We appreciate the contribution," my father said, his voice low, "but this is a family-only event." "I am family." "You know what we mean," my mother replied with a sigh. "You're always so busy. We didn't think you'd actually come." I held out the gift box. My hands were trembling. "I got you something." My mother didn't even look at it. "You can mail it later." "I don't understand," I said, my voice cracking. "How can I pay for this and not be welcome?" My father's jaw tightened. He turned and nodded to someone behind me. A security guard approached. "Please escort this woman out," my father said, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. I froze. "Dad, you can't be serious." And then he said it. "Get this beggar out of here." That word, beggar. The guard touched my elbow gently. "Ma'am, I'm sorry. I need to walk you out." I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. All I could do was let him lead me toward the elevator, the sound of laughter echoing behind me. I drove home in silence. The city lights blurred behind the tears in my eyes. I barely remembered the drive, just the image of my father's face as he said that word. Beggar. When I pulled into the garage of my condo building, I didn't get out of the car. I sat there, still in the black dress, makeup ruined, holding a silver gift box like a joke. After a few minutes, the first sob escaped my throat, then another, and another. I don't know how long I cried, but eventually my phone rang. It was Jordan, my best friend since college. She was the one person who had never once asked me for anything. "Hey Mandy, how's the big celebration? Did they finally roll out the red carpet for you?" "They had security remove me," I whispered. Silence on the other end. "Wait, what?" "They threw me out, Jordan. I paid for the party, and they had me escorted out." "I'm coming over." 20 minutes later, she was beside me in the garage, pulling me into a hug. She helped me upstairs, out of the dress, wiped my face clean, and poured 2 glasses of wine. We sat in my living room, the city glowing through the window. I told her everything. The look on my parents' faces, the absence of my name from the guest list, the security guard, the word beggar. When I finally finished, Jordan was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Amanda, this isn't a one-time mistake. This is a pattern. This is abuse. Financial abuse." I opened my laptop, more out of instinct than intention. "You know the worst part?" I said. "I've kept records. I've tracked every single thing I've ever given them. It's a habit from work." Jordan leaned in. "Pull it up." It took seconds. I had labeled the folder family support years ago. I clicked the report. The number populated. $327,845.38. Jordan gasped. "Amanda, that's a house. That's retirement. That's a lifetime." I scrolled through the line items: mortgage payments, Caleb's business expenses, Jessica's wedding. A dozen emergencies that all blurred together. I added up the upcoming expenses I'd committed to but hadn't seen through yet: the cruise to Alaska, the Disney trip, the country club renewal, the small business loan. Another $62,000. "They're still using my card," I said suddenly. I opened my credit card app. There it was, charges from earlier that very day. Additional catering, bar packages, a celebrity cake. They hadn't even asked. They just kept spending. On a hunch, I opened Instagram. Jessica had already posted photos. My parents cutting the cake. Caleb handing them cruise tickets, my cruise tickets. Her husband raising a toast about the upcoming family vacation to Disneyland. The one I paid for. "They're using my money to play hero," I said quietly. Jordan looked at me. "So what are you going to do?" I closed my laptop and set down the wine. "I'm going to stop it, all of it." The next morning, I woke up with a sense of clarity I hadn't felt in years. The pain was still there, but beneath it was something stronger: resolve. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and started planning. I texted Chloe, my longtime assistant and the only person outside of Jordan who had ever witnessed the extent of my family's financial dependence on me. "Need your help with something personal. Can you come by this morning?" She replied instantly, "On my way." By the time she arrived, I had already created a new spreadsheet. This one wasn't about the past. It was a list of all upcoming financial obligations I had either paid for or committed to. Line 1, Bastion Room Anniversary Deposit, $18,000. Line 2, Alaska Cruise for my parents, $12,000. Line 3, Disney Vacation for Jessica's family, $9,000. Line 4, Caleb's pending business loan, $1,500. Line 5, Country Club membership renewal, $8,000. Total, $62,500. Chloe's eyes widened when she saw the numbers. "Amanda, this is madness." "I need to know what I can cancel," I said, legally. She got to work. She called a lawyer friend who specialized in family financial matters. Without using names, she outlined the situation. "The deposit is gone," the lawyer said. "That's sunk cost. But everything else, if the services haven't been rendered or used, and there's no written agreement that they were gifts, you have the right to cancel or reclaim those funds. And the business loan. That if it hasn't been used and there's no contract, you can freeze or recall the funds." That was all I needed. Over the next few hours, I took my power back. I called the cruise line first. "I'd like to cancel a reservation. Booking number AC 742839. "There's a cancellation fee," the agent said. "That's fine. Please refund the rest to my original card." Next was the Disney trip. Family vacation for May 10th through 15th. Full cancellation. Then the bank. Caleb's business account had my name on it. He was just an authorized user. I'd like to freeze the account until further notice. The funds hadn't been touched. Perfect. The country club was the easiest. "I won't be renewing my parents' membership this year," I told the receptionist. "They've been members for 8 years. "I'm aware." Finally, I called Bastion Room. "I'd like to dispute additional charges made to my card." "Yes, the catering and bar upgrades were approved on site," the manager explained. "Not by me," I said firmly. "I want the difference refunded, and please update your records. Going forward, David and Lorraine Clark are responsible for any further billing." She hesitated. "And the deposit?" "Redirect it," I said, "as a donation. Portland Children's Hospital, anonymous." There was a long pause. "Of course, we'll send confirmation." By noon, everything was in motion. The bleeding had stopped. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could finally breathe. By 5 o'clock that evening, the cancellations had been processed. I activated an automatic reply for every family member's number. Financial services permanently discontinued. All inquiries will be directed to this automated response. Then I blocked their numbers. Not permanently, I wanted to see their reactions, but I needed a buffer. Jordan came over that night with Thai food and wine. "It's done," I told her as we sat on my balcony, the lights of the city stretching out below us. Every payment, every reservation, every pipeline of money cut. She looked at me closely. "How do you feel?" I took a breath, lighter, not happy, not angry, just free. We were halfway through dinner when my phone left face up, and on silent began lighting up like a Christmas tree. Missed call from Mom. Missed call from Dad. Text from Caleb, "What the hell is going on with the business account?" Voicemail from Jessica. Missed call from Dad. Text from Mom, "Call me NO." Email from Dad, "Emergency call immediately." Another call, then another. In 20 minutes, I had 36 missed calls. "Wow," Jordan said. "They're spiraling." I sipped my wine and watched my phone vibrate itself across the table. "They must have all found out at once," I said. "The cruise, Disney, the club, the frozen account." "Are you going to answer?" "Not tonight." I leaned back in my chair. I want them to sit in that feeling. The one I've known for years, being abandoned, left out, disregarded. Let them feel what it's like to have something pulled away without warning. Jordan smiled. "You're handling this like a boss." "I am a boss," I said, and for the first time in days, I meant it. We finished dinner. She stayed a while longer, making sure I was okay. I went to bed before 10 and slept better than I had in years. But peace has a price. The pounding started the next morning at 7 a.m. Fists on my apartment door, voices echoing in the hallway. "Amanda, open this door right now." I looked through the peephole. My parents, Jessica, Caleb. All of them. The storm had arrived. I didn't open the door. I stood there, barefoot in my kitchen robe, listening to them bang and shout. Jessica's voice was shrill. Caleb's fists hit harder. My father barked commands like he owned the place. But I didn't flinch. Eventually, I called building security. By the time the officers arrived, my family had retreated to the lobby. I watched from the hallway camera as they tried to argue their way past the guard. It didn't work. I wasn't afraid, not anymore. That same morning, I sat at my desk and did something I put off for years. I wrote them a letter. It wasn't angry, it wasn't dramatic, it was simple, direct, and honest. To my family. "So you taught me that love had conditions, that giving made me worthy and withholding made me selfish. For over a decade, I mistook being useful for being loved. I paid for your vacations, your debts, your emergencies each time, hoping I'd finally be seen as more than the ATM in the room. But last night, when you erased me from my own celebration and had me escorted out like a stranger, I finally understood something. You will never see me unless I disappear. So this is me, disappearing from the role you've cast me in. I'm done funding your lives while you deny me a place in them. I'm done begging for scraps of affection after footing every bill. I'm done measuring my worth by your convenience. You may call it betrayal, you may call it cruel, but for me it's called healing. All future financial obligations are canceled, access revoked, accounts closed. There will be no second wave of payments. If you ever wish to rebuild a relationship with me, it will not start with money. It will start with an apology, one without excuses, expectations, or a follow-up favor. Until then, I wish you well. Amanda. I printed the letter and mailed a copy to each of them. I didn't text it. I didn't email it. They would have to sit with the weight of my words on paper. And then I blocked them for real this time. Social media, phone, email, complete silence. That week, I took a leave from work. I booked a cabin upstate. Just me, a pile of unread books, and the sound of my own thoughts. It was terrifying at first. The quiet was loud. But then, little by little, I began to hear something new. My own voice. Not the one trained to please, fix, or provide, but the one buried underneath all that noise. The one that knew who she was without being needed. And for the first time in my life, I started listening to her. 6 weeks passed. I didn't return any calls. I didn't check my mail. I didn't log into social media. The cabin gave me something I didn't know I craved: space. Real, untouched space where no one needed anything from me. I learned how to cook for one without apology. I walked every morning by the lake. I journaled, I cried, I laughed. And slowly I stopped waking up with a pit in my stomach. One morning I got an email from Jordan. "Just checking in. You doing okay?" I replied with a photo of me on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, holding a mug of coffee. No makeup, no filters, just peace. "Better than okay," I typed, getting to know myself again. When I finally returned to the city, things had changed. I changed. I sold the apartment that once held all the weight of my family's expectations. I downsized to a smaller place near the art district, something with character, not just status. I left my job and opened a consulting studio of my own, just 2 clients to start. The goal wasn't money, it was joy. People talk about revenge like it's fire and fury. But real revenge, quiet, steady revenge, is choosing peace in a world that demanded your chaos. My family didn't take long to replace me. Jessica started relying on a new boyfriend. Caleb turned to my uncle. My parents leaned into community groups and sympathy circles. And when no one came to bail them out like I used to, they learned something. I wasn't just the helper. I was the glue. Without me, the cracks started to show. But I didn't smile at that. I didn't celebrate it. I just let it be. Because healing isn't about proving anyone wrong. It's about choosing yourself when no one else will. To those watching who've been cast as the giver, the fixer, the invisible one, I see you. And maybe it's time you see yourself too. Walk away if you must. Not to spite them, but to find you. Because you were never too much. You were just in the wrong room. If this story spoke to you, share it with someone who needs it. Drop a comment, or maybe just sit with it for a while. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is choosing peace. Thank you for listening.